here, but there's meetings all over the place going on right now, and he's at an evacuee meeting at 1 o'clock. He had a commitment. There's a public meeting tonight that we will provide operations people. Operations people are the ones really managing the fire, and I'm an information officer. I'll be telling you what I've heard them talk about in terms of managing this fire. But tonight there's a public meeting. I'm going to step away from the mic. Tonight at the gymnasium here at 6 o'clock, there'll be a public meeting where we'll have fire managers here, we'll have the sheriff, and we'll go through this again for the people who live in Veta, so you know what's going on. This meeting here is a media brief, so we'll be talking to these people primarily. I'll stay here after. Certainly Cindy Howard will stay here after, and if you have any questions that we can answer, we'll be more than glad to answer those questions for you. So with that, I'll start. Now I'm going to have to point at the map. Okay, so I'll speak real loudly. I apologize. You know, this fire started on Wednesday, and at about 3 in the afternoon, and it grew. I got into Fort Garland at about noon yesterday, and what I was hearing is that the fire was about 4,000 acres. Well, by 6 o'clock that evening, we heard that it was 14,000 acres. As of last night, it's 24,000 acres. And this thing is a rapidly growing fluid event. It's moving faster than we anticipated. It's doing things that you don't see, like moving downhill. You know, fires love running uphill. They love wind behind them, and they love hot, dry conditions. That's exactly what they got here. When it hit the ridge, we kind of expected fire activity to slow down. And it did. It kept coming down the hill, as many of you saw last night, even into late evening. The acreage that we have right now, which is 23,889, was as of 9:35 last night. There's been a lot of activity since 9:35 last night, and so this fire is much bigger than it is, than this reflects. The fire has hit Highway 160. It actually crossed, but fire crews were able to pull that fire back, and right now there's no active fire on the north side of 160. So one of our goals is to keep this fire south of 160. Another goal is to try to keep it from moving to the southeast. The fire, the winds are coming out of the southwest and wanting to push this fire to the northeast. And fires typically go that direction, but here the fuels are so dry, your forests are so dry, the fuels are actually pulling the fire in a different direction than the winds are blowing it. It's really kind of an anomaly in that sense. And so that's really unusual, but it's characteristic of really dry conditions in the forest and the hot conditions that you all are experiencing out here. So this fire, of course, started over by Fort Garland and is moving up this way. For the last 2 days, efforts have been to get people evacuated and out of the way. You know, our highest priority is to protect lives of the public and of firefighters. And when this thing started really growing, I mean, you can see the density of roads, and you can imagine the density of homes in this area. Getting people out of the way was our first priority. Second priority is to protect homes. Normally, when a team comes in, we're interested in corralling this fire, lining it, and trying to get a line around it to where it doesn't spread. Well, with so many homes out here, the sheriff's department is trying to get everybody out of the home safely and get them evacuated. And the firefighters are trying to protect individual homes. So we've built very little line. What we've been doing is our firefighters go up to a house and they see that they can move brush away or move some firewood away, try to mitigate that, and then they try to stand and defend it as best they can. And so first priority is life, second priority is to protect property. And so our firefighters have been so focused on protecting property, we've built very little line. So this fire just continues to grow. Not that on this fire line would have done much, but we would be further than we are right now. This fire, again, is moving this way, and it's more likely out here, it's more likely it's bumping this line, it's more likely spread down here. And the good news is, and there is good news, is that out in here, as you know, there's large grassy areas. And in grassy areas, we really could do a lot more with fire than we can in heavy timber. And you know, we flew aircraft on Wednesday and on Thursday, helicopters and air tankers dropping retardant in water. And the forest is so dry that they aren't very effective. You know, when you drop retardant with aircraft, it hits the top of the trees and it starts getting less and less. And then when it gets to the ground, as the ground's real dry, the fire will just burn under it and keep on going. So airdrops really haven't been effective. Now, out here in the grasslands, our bulldozers will be effective, our air tankers will be effective, and we're looking at doing a frontal attack, which firefighters don't like getting in front of the fire. They like skirting the back of the fire. But in here, they're thinking of getting out in front of it and trying to create some lines, utilizing roads that are out there, using whatever they can to try to stop this fire from moving this way. It may still squirt out the sides because these are heavy timbered areas up here by Veta Pass and out here on the south side. But in front, where there's grass, we're thinking of trying to do a frontal attack to where we try to slow its progress forward and try to create some protection to Veta and outlying areas through that action there. So, again, our focus today is protection of homes and trying to figure out how maybe we can do a frontal attack out here. They're looking at this right now. All our firefighters back in here are near structures, trying to make sure that if they're still standing, that they're fire resistant or somewhat fire resistant to any future fire. So I'm trying to think. I do want to say, you know, this thing is rapidly moving and it's very fluid. We have all these people running to all these places because there's so much communication that needs to occur. That we have our leadership scattered, we have the sheriff's department, you know, we have emergency services. Everybody's trying to get in front of this thing, and it grew so quickly that it's hard to get in front of. And today is going to be a day just like yesterday. Yesterday was red flag. It's hot, dry, windy. Today's going to be exactly like this. It's going to be hot, dry, and windy. In addition, we have some clouds coming through that are going to try to kind of drain. It's going to have Verga. And whenever Verga comes in, it's not going to hit the ground. What it's going to cause is going to have wind events associated with it that will have gusts up to 35 to 40 miles an hour. And so these clouds that come in and try to drop rain wreak havoc on firefighters because they don't have a consistent wind direction. All of a sudden the wind could change. And if they're in a precarious situation, they could get caught. So it makes firefighting more complicated. And then we're going to have sustained winds, you know, just with these wind events and gusts up to 27. So we have red flag conditions from now until 9 o'clock this evening, which is going to make it a very active fire day. So this fire is going to grow this afternoon. You're going to see a big plume again this afternoon. And firefighters are going to do everything they can to try to they're going to try to put a lot of effort to try to make it to where it doesn't cross 160. They're going to make an effort to try to slow it down from coming towards Veta. They're going to make an effort to try to make it not come over to this Kuchar area. That's a big front, and we don't have that many firefighters. I'm sorry, I don't know how many we have. We probably have a couple hundred, maybe 300. I'll find that out. But so that's where we are with that. I know there's been a real lack of information coming out, and we actually pride ourselves on getting information out. But we're just running and gunning right now. The best source of information on this fire is through our Facebook page, which is Spring Fire 2018. And everything I say, every map we put out will be on that site before it gets to any bulletin board that's around here. All our updates will be on there. Also, you can go on our Twitter page, which is Spring Fire 2018. We also, we had some handouts. We'll have more this evening at the public meeting. We have a phone number. If you don't like going on social media, you want to talk to somebody, you can call us and say, what the heck's going on? And somebody will be there to talk to you about that as well. In addition, we'll be having these bulletin boards throughout the community of Veta and Walsenburg, and we'll be making an effort to get over it. We have more information officers coming in right now, but I know there's a lot of interest and concern with the homeowners and people that live here, and we appreciate that. So with that, we aren't going to take questions right now, but what I want to do is introduce the sheriff, and it's Sheriff Newman, and he's going to talk about evacuations. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just explain the evacuations a little bit. We did start the evacuations about 4:30 yesterday afternoon. We evacuated Middle Creek, South Middle Creek, Indian Creek, and Sulphur Springs. And right now, Highway 160 is closed. The State Patrol is manning several points. The junctions of 12 and 160 and over in Fort Garland. A couple of the county roads that come up on the highway are also being manned. Right now, the pre-evacuations include County Roads 520 north to County Road 510, west to the county line, and south to include Trace Valleys, Majors Ranch, and Navajo, and all of the community of Veta and Conchera are all on pre-advisement. Right now we have deputies patrolling these areas. We have, between the fire department, our deputies, and the State Patrol, we have a lot of officers that if we have to do a mandatory evacuation, we should be able to get that done very, very quickly. Okay, thank you.
So, any other? I've met this guy. David Dutray, Fire Chief, Veta Fire Protection District. First of all, I want to thank everybody in the community for their support. Want to let everybody know a little bit of some operational updates. As you see, we just had a DC-10 fly over. That's one of the big heavy tankers that we have on scene. We have air resources ordered. We do have federal resources on the ground. Please understand that everything that we're doing is now through the federal black team, okay, our Type 2 incident management team, okay? Everything is going to be done, and we're going to do everything we can to protect, once again, first life, then our property, okay? So with that being said, a few things what we're doing. What you're seeing right there up in the air is that's our air attack, okay? Our air attack is kind of like our air traffic controller in the sky. That plane is going to guide our air attack, our tankers, our helicopters, those type of things. Right now we do have helicopters on the scene. We have air tankers in the air, and like was said earlier, most of our tactical resources for our air tankers are going to try to be done down low and done on the grassland where it's more effective, okay? Right now, as it sets, we are working and holding 160, okay? Last night, about 1:30 in the morning, we had a little slop over on 160. That was contained and put out, okay? Now we have structure protection, and we're protecting 160. And we also have dozers, both private, federal, and county dozers and road maintainers working the whole western edge of Veta right now, okay? So we are protecting that. One other thing, real short and quick before I get out of here. Please understand under the evacuation how difficult of a decision that is, okay? How wide we make it, how narrow we make it, and why we did what we did, okay? Right now, our whole district is either on pre-evac or evacuated, okay? With that being said, we are not taking this lightly, and that's one of the reasons we made that decision. Please, at this time, as was said, these boards are going to be put up around town, and I believe this board is going to end up living over here by the train car. We need to try to keep our operational staff as distracted free as we can, and so if we can kind of stay away from the fire station, the town hall, there's a number of working parts here. So as we keep going, if you have any questions, please reach out, and we'll try to answer those as best we can. Thank you, and God bless. No questions right now. So do you have, so we've wrapped up the formal side of this.
So I was just going off of what you said with no questions. So I'm more than happy.
No, please step up here. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Please, your question, Bonnie.
I just wanted to know any input status on Middle Creek to protect the homes up there.
Okay, we have a Type 1 hotshot crew up there right now. We have a strike team of engines, of Type 3 heavy engines coming in for that area, as well as we have a Veta crew up there as well. I do believe you saw them at your house, Bonnie, as well as the house next door to you. So we do have these in the area. Please understand with this structure protection, okay? One of the biggest parts in structure protection is the homeowners helping themselves, okay? With fire mitigation and so on. So that is an important part. Once again, we bring back to life safety, the life safety of the firefighters and their crew, and that's where we work from there. If it's not safe, then we cannot go in and we will not go in. That's not to be mean or detrimental or anything, but that's how we are going to work this operation.
Can we do a media question?
Yes, sir.
For those of us who aren't from here, we were yesterday on the Costilla side. Has it come into cabins and stuff on the Huerfano side here?
At this time, I'm not going to speculate. We do not have a count on any structure losses at this time. As we go in, please understand, as it was said, we have not been able to put any lines in. Understand, at 9:30 last night to 1:30 this morning, this fire grew 10,000 acres, okay? We cannot put firefighters in front of that, okay? So right now, we have our resources putting those lines in with our equipment. We have air attack and our bombers coming in now. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask, we have heard that hundreds of homes have been burned. Can you put a number at all?
So I can tell you that in Huerfano County that is not correct. I cannot speak to the fact on Costilla County. Anyone else?
How far is it physically from Veta?
Okay, as we set right now, it looks like it's right next door. Okay, we're actually probably, as the crow flies, 4 miles from the fire front now. If you're familiar with County Road 450, it's probably 2 miles from 450. Okay, I know the cameras can't see that, but that's the DC-10 super air tanker right behind us.
A very large air tanker.
Okay. Any other questions?
They're going to take pictures of the airplane.
Okay.
Thank you. And stay here if you're ready. There's going to be some questions. If you're not running for operational need, don't leave me by myself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's a VLAT. It's a very large air tanker.
Does anybody
VLAT.
have any questions of the difference between pre-evacuation and mandatory evacuations? Just to clarify. Okay, pre-evacuations is just that. The head evacuation notifying us that we may have an evacuation coming. What that means is we need to get all your crucial papers, medicines, any family heirlooms, those type of things, what you can take in your car, and have them ready to go. So when an evacuation happens, then we pull that trigger for that evacuation. Boom, you get in your car and you go. Okay. Now, one other thing, I don't know if you discussed the large animals.
No.
Okay. Those of you that I know have already used the county fairgrounds, we still have room for large animals and animals of all sizes. Okay. So that's going to be our point of reference for our animal evacuation that you can't take with you. Okay. Any other questions?
Any injuries?
No injuries on the Huerfano County side right now.
And none on the Costilla side.
And none on the Costilla side. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to mention that the fire is half behind my house from what we're saying now, where there's a lot of flat land. And I've got a backhoe that's sitting in front of the gate by the barn. And I can give you the house key, or you can get to the backhoe keys and use it if you need to, and get it out of the way so that you guys can maybe get through there easier. I don't know if my guys have a good way of getting up there.
Okay.
You do? Yeah.
Okay. So if you can get with me later, guys, please understand. We understand how difficult this is right now. Okay? I understand. Okay?
This is your chance to fight fire out on the flat land where
And that's exactly what we're doing at this time. Okay? And so please understand there's a liability risk and some other things that go into place with private equipment. We're really sensitive to that, but I'll tell you right now, if we don't have the equipment on scene, we have the equipment ordered, okay? And once again, as I said before, exactly what is happening right now is we're putting those air tanker drops on the ground where we need them to reinforce your property and the town of La Veta, okay? Yes, sir. Okay, air quality. We'll let our VLAT fly over the top of us here. Okay, air quality, obviously, as us standing here, yes, it's poor, okay? What we have right now is we have N95 dust masks to keep out the particulates. We have those in the town hall, okay? Anybody that is in need of that, I also have requested more of those masks for, from the health department to come to Veta. Now, one thing about health risk, okay? Anybody obviously that has breathing problems, COPD, asthma, anything like that, we should be getting them out of here, okay? We have the set up in Walsenburg, the shelter where we can go with relatives, but we don't need to be breathing that bad air, okay? And I hate to say this, but that's not going to change anytime soon. Am I going too long?
No, you're doing good. I'd like to introduce the mayor, who also has some information on air quality.
All right, thank you.
Mayor Doug Burgum.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Doug. Yes, I'm Doug Burgum, Mayor of the town of Veta. Just came back from the Incident Command Center over at Fort Garland, and we were able to meet with the incident commander and several ops representatives and talk about the fire as it approaches Veta and their plans and so forth. We have every confidence that they've got a great plan in mind to try to ward off the fire from coming into the town of Veta. Anybody that was looking out last night at the fire from their windows would have swore that it was across the street. But you know, rest assured, it's still 4 miles away, and according to those that are in the know, we've got a great defensible area just to the west of the town to facilitate that. The town has made the town reservoirs available for dipping for helicopters and whatever source they need. As you all know, it's an extremely dry year. There's very little water. There's virtually no water in the entire upper Caceres River Valley, except the water that's in the 2 reservoirs that's owned by the town of Veta, and a smaller reservoir that's just to the east here owned by the city of Walsenburg. We're in contact with the city of Walsenburg now to see if they'll okay the use of that for a dipping location also. In terms of air quality, they are bringing in 2 air quality monitoring systems. Those should be here within the next couple hours, and a air quality specialist to continually monitor the air and to make sure that, you know, if it just gets too bad, you know, we'll know when to leave. That may be another trigger that we haven't anticipated. But they have told us at that meeting this is going to be probably the conditions that we're going to have to live with for the next 24 hours, 48 hours. You know, as John said, there's a cold front moving in from the north, but they just think that it's going to provide a brief respite in terms of temperature and maybe raise humidity by a few points. That's it. So, you know, I just you know, want to address the citizens of the town of Veta and assure you that you know, they're doing everything they can to keep it out of the town. And we have 1,000 people here and you know, hundreds of structures, historic structures, and they'll do what they can. Do you have a shelter set up somewhere by it?
Actually, the shelter now is Huerfano County Community Center, which is in Walsenburg. We've also been informed that the fairgrounds here are accepting large animals, but if we have to evacuate the corrals at what's called the Corsentino Ranch, which is just east of Walsenburg, it's the person who operates those has said that they can take several hundred head of large animals there, and they'd be willing to accommodate those, you know, until people can make other arrangements. So as John said, it's real fluid. You know, we've got the animals out of the hills, got them to here, but that may only last for a short period of time, and then we have to move them on down the road a little, as with all the people. So we also addressed the critical watershed situation with the operations team, and they're going to try to make every assurance they can that they'll save the watershed in the upper Caceres and across the Spanish Peaks. That's the only source of water for the city of Walsenburg, town of Veta, Caceres Sanitation and Water District. And if we
we lose those the ability to store water there through burn, or the water is corrupted through runoff, all of the entities in Huerfano County will be in bad shape. So that's one of the other things that they're going to look at. They're going to address this evening at this meeting. We had a meeting with Shane, and he assured us that he'll have every member of his team that he can get over here tonight, ops, and if he can make it, he showed me a text of the meetings he's got scheduled. But if he can make it, he will be here, and they will have a full presentation for us at 6 p.m. complete with all their latest fire information, area information. They'll try to bring over their fire management, or what's he called, the operation people who project where the fire is going, how it's moving, and so forth. And they'll have everybody that they can spare over here this evening at 6 p.m. Yes, sir.
Doug, I heard something about